I'm Kirsten. I'm the Senior Coordinator for Anglophone Africa for ShareScreen. And I'm delighted to talk to you today about fungi, because whilst my colleagues have spoken to you mostly about the visible actors in soil health, I'm going to take you on a journey into the less visible, fungi. The subtitle of the talk is Soil Health and Tackling Climate Change from Below. Now, I'm not sure how much you know about fungi, and perhaps this may be a bit of a surprising title, especially the soil health and tackling climate change from below. So let's dig a little bit deeper. The word fungi might conjure up for you feelings of slimy, slippery, oozy things, but fungi come in all shapes and sizes, and some can even glow in the dark. Here we go. Some are highly poisonous. And here are some very live mushrooms. And these are growing actually right now on Johan's farm on a compost heap. So what you're actually looking at right now are actually only a part of the fungus. These are the fruiting bodies or the reproductive organs of the fungus called mushrooms. Here we have something that I'm sure you're all familiar with, a pizza. And this one has got mushrooms on it. So these are edible, I think they're called field mushrooms. And now I don't really want to make you hungry, but it does look quite delicious. Now just onto a little bit of the biology of the mushroom, or the fungus rather. Here we have a mature mushroom. And this mature mushroom gives rise to spores. And spores are the equivalent of seeds of plants. These spores germinate, and they form what we call a mycelium. And a mycelium is basically a whole lot of threads of cells that form a very, very large structure. Once this mycelium is established, it forms fruit bodies, and so the cycle continues. Now, the underground fungal mycelium gets food from organic material in the soil and grows outwards, sometimes creating a circle of mushrooms known as a fairy ring. As in the Middle Ages, it was believed to represent the path of dancing fairies. The ring actually marks the edge of a fungus colony. Fungi can grow into absolutely enormous colonies. Some are among the largest and oldest organisms on Earth. Now, I want you to take a really careful look at this incredible photograph. What is going on here? Do all these roots belong to this tiny little tree or even a plant over here? I'm sure you might have guessed that these root structures are actually a fungal mycelium, in some way linking to the plant's roots. Look at the now enormous reach of the plant. So what are mycorrhizal fungi? They are fungi that live in a mutually beneficial symbiotic relationship with the vast majority of plants, at least those plants that are growing in healthy soil. They surround and sometimes penetrate the roots of the plant in order to exchange nourishment. The mycelium acts to extend the root system of the plant to draw in water and specific nutrients that the plants cannot reach on their own. In fact, it has been estimated that the increased amount of nutrients a plant's roots can absorb anywhere from 10 to 1,000 times. Now just think about what that can do for your farming, for your crops. During winter, when the day length is shortened and exposure to sunlight is reduced, some plants produce very few nutrients through photosynthesis, and they depend on the fungi for nutrients as the fungi are able to absorb these from the organic material in the soil. In return, the plants, when they can, they provide the food with the photosynthesized sugars. And similarly, fungi form this mutually beneficial relationship with our crops. Fungi in a healthy mycelium are strong indicators of soil health. Perhaps you've heard of the wood wide web. That's a playful name for the mycorrhizal networks linking the trees to one another. Not only do the fungi exchange nutrients with the trees that host them, they deliver these nutrients to all the other trees in the vicinity. Now, this little diagram is to represent the process of potentially that fungi are actually involved in reducing or helping us against climate change. So let me just work my way through this slide. Mycorrhizal networks have a significant role to play with respect to the atmosphere, potentially reducing climate change. Fungi are likely responsible for creating the oxygen-rich atmosphere we live in today and could not live without. Fungi access the nutrient phosphorus from the rocks in the soil and transfer it to the plants. Produced from the fungi in return receive carbon that is produced from the carbon dioxide that the plant absorbs through photosynthesis. Could the mycorrhizal fungi really help us now, given the global climate change crisis that we face today? And the answer is potentially yes. In healthy soil, the fungi not only exchange nutrients with the plants, together with the other microbes, the worms, the insects, the combined biology of the soil breaks down plant debris, such as fallen leaves, and creates a more fertile environment for planting. And when allowed to proceed undisturbed, this naturally keeps the carbon drawn down from the atmosphere by plants via photosynthesis into the ground, a process known as carbon sequestration. And that is exactly what we need. Unfortunately, due to conventional agricultural practices like the use of tilling, herbicides, fungicides, insecticides, artificial fertilizers, and the biology of the soil has been depleted in many places around the globe, and the topsoil itself has been eroding at a frightening rate. The good news is that regenerative farming practices that avoid tillage, keep the ground covered, have been shown to help the soil to recover. And if the soil biology is specifically nourished by using multi-species cover crops and adding microbial-rich compost, including the fungi, back in, they multiply incredibly quickly in just a few short years. These are the key principles of conservation agriculture: minimum disturbance, keep the ground covered, and mixed cropping. And when the fungi are back in force, then they do their job. And so that's why, to my mind, mushrooms, or more correctly, fungi, are indeed magic.